What's up, guys? Big show ahead. We're going to dive into our topics, but we have a crazy FanDuel ticket to show you guys to get things started today. Maybe one of the biggest and best we've had yet. Woo! And we'll show you in one sec. The NFL's regular season has wrapped up. It's not Tyvis, but Tyvis is going to tell us his parlay when we talk Cavs in a little bit for tonight's game. The NFL regular season is wrapped up, but still plenty of time to get in on the playoff action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed just by placing a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose for brand new customers. And the best part about the FanDuel app is that it's so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, including live same-game parlays. You can find bets in the new Explorer tab. You can make parlays in the Parlay Hub, which is by far the easiest and best way to find pre-made popular parlays, and so much more. So make sure you visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, an official partner of the NFL, an official partner of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. And I got to give my guy, Matt Kolker, a shout-out. He sent in a couple of these before. I play basketball with Matt every week. He hit a 20-part parlay on NBA games. I had to put it in a scroll so you guys can see all the parts. A 20-part NBA parlay on Monday night turned $10 into $1,100. Wow. A 20-part parlay, all 20 parts hit. He had the Cavs, the Magic, the Spurs, the Sixers, the Raptors, the Grizzlies. 4 different same-game parlays, all put into one. 20 parts, $10 into $1,100. Shout out to Matt for hitting that big win.
You know why I'm jealous of Matt? Remember yesterday I got in that camera and I told Jared Allen he messed me up? Yeah. That's the same day. I had a 14-leg parlay and missed it by 2 because Jared Allen couldn't get 1 point and Brook Lopez couldn't hit a 3.
Baby Giannis over here got us with this parlay.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk about it later.
We're talking about we got something better.
Mike, do you know if you could do cross-sport parlays?
No.
Yeah.
Yes,
you can.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. You talking about like put baseball and basketball in the same parlay? Yeah.
It's not going to be on our docket today. I just want to throw it out there. What the hell are the Bucks doing?
What you mean?
We'll talk about it in overtime. I'll tell you.
Is that our overtime?
Yeah.
There's got to be a backstory here.
There is, and it's
Apparently
out there.
Players all hate it.
It is out there? Because I just saw the news yesterday, and I was like,
I'll give you the really quick
Wow.
backstory.
Okay.
He made fun of Giannis's brother.
He did?
Yeah, and Giannis was like, nope, not having it. He's out.
Oh,
that's
my
the quick
friend
backstory.
sent me that. I thought it was a joke.
Hold on,
made
that
fun
was
of
a
him
joke.
how?
I thought it was a joke. Hold on. Wait a minute.
Chris
This
Haynes
right here
reported
that says he was bullying my brother, saying Thanasis is committing insurance fraud by being in the NBA. He had to go. That's true?
I don't know if those were the exact words, but from all reports, he had completely lost Giannis. Giannis said, I can't work for him, and he's out.
I mean, listen.
He wasn't wrong.
It's so.
But how dumb can you be?
Yeah, but why would you say that about one of the best players in the league?
And Giannis don't play games. He's like super ultimate.
I thought this was a joke when I thought my buddy sent it to me, and I thought we was just laughing about it.
I mean, it needs context. Like, was the coach joking? Was he serious? Either way, it wasn't a smart move.
No.
But I also don't love the fact that Giannis flexed and said he's got to go.
But Giannis talked about him and his defensive principles. And
okay,
was
now
like,
that would be a different story.
He was like, he doesn't know what he's doing.
We'll
Okay,
dive into this all in overtime, but
right.
there is some truth. At the end of the day, Giannis and Adrian Griffin didn't see eye to eye. The team went with the player over the coach, and Adrian
Didn't we
Griffin
just talk about it,
43
Mike?
years.
Do we need to talk about it in overtime at this point?
Yeah, because there's more stuff.
All
They
right.
play the Cavs tonight, so it'll be an
Oh,
extra,
All right,
fair
good
enough.
tease.
extra little
tease.
bonus. Let's start with a soundbite from the upcoming podcast today. Bull, you want to set up this soundbite that people can watch and listen to your interview with Joe Flacco later today?
So as soon as the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show ends today, my podcast with Joe Flacco will be released on YouTube. So obviously, if you're not subscribed to my podcast already, go to YouTube. Go to the Bullpen with Adam the Bull, part of the Bet Rivers Network, and click the subscribe button. I'll take a thumbs up, too, if you like what I'm doing.
And subscribe.
And subscribe, please. Of course, hit the subscribe button. My hope is to get over 4,000 subscribers by the end of the day. I'm at 3,700, so I'd like to get another 300 today. It would be great. Anyway, yesterday I had 30 minutes with Joe Flacco. He was very gracious to give me that much time. We had a very nice, relaxed atmosphere. And I can't even remember what clip I gave you, Mike, that we used.
This is about Joe returning to
leadership.
the quarterback room and how
That's right.
potentially it would work with Deshaun
this
Watson.
was interesting. I did. Yeah. Do you have the question, or should I set up the question?
You set up the question. You only sent me his answer.
So I asked him about the quarterback room, the Browns quarterback room, Watson and Walker and all these guys, and what was it like in there? Here's what he said.
You know what? The quarterback rooms are always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think they're probably a little bit of a unique situation because there is one of you playing.
Right.
And even when some guys are waiting in the wing, or they're in their first year or second year, listen, everybody wants to play. There's always a little bit of pace of that. Even the way I came in this year, it's like you're walking into a room where everybody in there had started football games. So they have to, we all probably have to put our egos aside at some point. And even though we feel like we should be the ones playing, I'm sure it wasn't easy for PJ and Dorian to kind of watch me come in, and now all of a sudden I'm the one playing when they had been able to start games and have some success this year. So even with that room, where the one guy is playing, like it at the end of the day, guys do a really good job because we spend so much time together. We have good relationships. So as much as we want to be the guy out there, we also have really good relationships with these guys. I mean, we spend a lot of time together and have a lot of laughs and stories and just, grinding with football, all those things. So, we want to see those guys go out there and be successful. Even if we feel like we're the guy and we could be the guy, you still want to see your teammate and your friend go out there and play good football.
Wow. I thought it was interesting that he said, hey, listen, we want to be the guy. Everybody wants to be the guy.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, you're still rooting for that guy to have success. It's kind of a weird.
I thought he showed great candor.
Yeah.
And you can do that when you're at the end of your career.
Sure, of course.
I also thought he showed great insight. Everything he said is true. I've had conversations with quarterbacks in contentious rooms.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you things off the record that they won't tell you on the record. I think he's transparent. He's open. Now, the one thing that I'm sure you guys touch on it, I want to know, because there was one elephant that was not in that room.
Right. Yeah,
and what I want to know is whatever interactions Joe had with Deshaun, I'd love to hear him talk about those experiences.
Well, I asked him about Watson specifically. I didn't ask him about like his interactions with Watson on the sideline specifically.
Maybe
but
what their relationship is like.
I asked him about his relationship with Watson, and I asked him about whether he thinks Watson could have success in this system. And that's part of the interview. So
okay.
Oh yeah, you got to tune in for that. We're not about to give you everything.
No, that's a great.
Make sure you go subscribe to the channel.
Yeah.
We got 3 or 4 more juicy sound bites from Joe Flacco, and he talks about how Joe Flacco can coexist. I think he can coexist.
I asked him
Does
about.
he believe that?
I asked him about him and Watson coexisting. I did. Thank you for. Yes, I did ask him about that. Whether he thinks that could work.
Do you want to give us that answer now, or do we have to wait? And if we have to wait, that's fine.
He said you're going to want more details on what he said, but he did say he thinks it could work.
Good.
But egos have to be put aside. He talked about that. He talked about the coaches getting fired. He talked about pizza. I asked him a question about alligator wrestling. I asked him about him screaming at Wyatt Teller. So all of that. It's really fun. And
for the sake of today, though, here, and definitely go check out both podcasts.
Yes.
One thing before we pivot to the exact question that you have, I wanted to know, in general, when you spend 30 minutes with someone, and I know it's not face-to-face, but it's
but we talked off the air a little, too.
And I know it's different when you're sharing the space with someone. You do pick up on different things. In general, how do you characterize Joe Flacco now that you spent 30 minutes with him?
Loved him. Couldn't love him anymore.
It's easy to see why he won over the locker room.
Yes, it's very easy. He is very down to earth. He came off as because at first I said to my producer, how long do we have with him? He's like, he didn't give a specific time. He's like, I try to keep it to 15 minutes. So normally when I do an interview, if they tell me 15 minutes, I feel the guy out during the interview.
Sure.
If I feel like he's having fun, I'll go a little longer.
Absolutely.
And Joe was like laughing. I was getting some silly questions.
Sure.
And I talked about his coach, of course. I referenced our interview that we did with his college coach a few times, and he talked about how his coach likes to embellish. So he was really loose. So we had fun, and I just kept him, and he ended up doing 30 minutes. And at the end, I was like, hey, Joe, I'm sorry if I kept you too long. He's like, nah, I had a ball. You could tell why people like him.
Right.
And he was really, and he talks about this, but he was blown away by the fans of Cleveland.
Yeah.
Blown away.
I'm glad to hear that.
He couldn't believe it. Sometimes you feel like, do the players care that you love them? He cared. It meant a lot to him that the fans loved it. By the way, he did not know. There's a couple of stats about his records in Cleveland that he didn't know. I was surprised.
No kidding.
Did you ask him in 2019 when he had a neck injury for the Denver Broncos? Did he know that they had this player by the name of Tyvis Powell on their practice
I didn't
squad?
get
Man,
to
that's
that
a miss,
question.
Bull. That's a miss.
That's a bold
What did you
drop.
think of being a teammate of Tyvis Powell?
Yeah.
Saying.
Sorry I missed
Yeah.
that. Sorry.
I think he looks back on your time together fondly.
Man, that's
So back to the
That's
question at
media
hand.
training 101 right
Sorry,
there,
Mike.
boy.
No, you
That media
and
training
make sure
right
you
there,
check out both
boy.
podcasts. Bull, you said it drops at 1:15-ish today.
It's going to drop right just after 1 o'clock. Yeah, about 1:15. You're going to love it.
1:15.
He comes off phenomenal, and it's really good.
So make sure you guys tune in. But
Yeah.
to the question today, and at least the soundbite we played, he makes it seem like there could be a peaceful coexisting quarterback room between Deshaun, Joe Flacco, whoever else they bring in. Bull, you said that was the impression you got. Do you guys agree with Joe Flacco that those two could coexist in a quarterback room next
100%.
year? Deshaun is QB1, Joe
Yeah.
is QB2.
I think the bigger part of that is, would Deshaun be okay with it?
That's what we don't know.
We don't know that, so I'm gonna. This is pure conjecture.
Well, I'll give you a little more of what he said, because I said to him, what happens if you come back? I said, everybody wants you back next year.
Right.
Everybody on the outside wants you back next year. And I said, what happens if Deshaun starts the season, you're the backup, and he's struggling a little bit? Are there going to be guys on the team, on your team, saying, maybe Joe should be playing? And he basically said, well, that stuff shouldn't happen. And everybody's got to put their egos aside for what's the best of the team. He didn't seem concerned about that. Now, whether he's being totally honest, you never
Right.
know. But he did not seem concerned about it.
My conjecture on that
Yeah.
is, why would Deshaun? Deshaun's got nothing to worry about. Deshaun is definitively, and it's not written in pencil,
Yeah.
it's etched in concrete. He is the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2024 and at least in 2025.
Yes.
Because the finances dictate that he has to be. You can't pay a backup quarterback $60 million. You just can't do it.
No, and no matter, yesterday we had this hot debate about whether his Browns career so far has been a disappointment or whatever it's been.
Disaster, was the word.
Which is what I said originally. But here's the bottom line. Everybody knows that Deshaun Watson's potential upside is way higher than Joe Flacco's at this point in their career.
I think Deshaun, who's probably done a lot of self-reflecting
Yeah.
on personal Deshaun Watson and professional Deshaun Watson, he's smart enough to know that this guy has something that can help me. And it's up here. It's knowledge of the game. How invaluable would it be for Deshaun Watson to come over on the sideline and have a conversation with Joe Flacco about what just happened on the field? Or maybe Joe's seeing something on the surface, on the pad. He's looking at something saying, Deshaun, eyes, different sets of eyes see that. We saw that with the DeMarco Ryan clip where he tells his linebacker.
D'Amico,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He still called him DeMarco. Where he said, just get in front of Joe. Just get in front of him. Then almost immediately after that, there's a pick six.
Yeah, right.
And the player did exactly what the coach said. And I think that Deshaun, there's no doubt Deshaun is a driven, motivated, and wants to win. There's no doubt about that. Anybody that's ever doubted that has not been paying attention. He doesn't like the fact that he's been underwhelming or disappointing or disastrous.
Sure.
He hates those adjectives. The adjectives he wants are winner, champion, hard worker. Joe Flacco can help him get there. And I think Deshaun's smart enough to realize that. I hope he is.
I want to set this up. I'm going to use my answer by questioning Tyvis Powell. Now,
What am I on the stand?
yes. Now, Tyvis, you played for Urban Meyer, right?
I did.
Okay. You know of Ryan Day.
I do. Well, he wasn't there when I was a coach. But I know him.
Okay. The philosophies of the two people, from Ryan Day to Urban Meyer, how are they different?
Well, I mean, obviously they have different leadership styles. One is more of a dictator, my way or the highway. The other one's more a little bit laid back. I want to help you get to the right answer. I want to help you grow that way.
The atmosphere of the dictator, it inspires what?
The
Fear.
The dictator is definitely you're fearful. You don't want to make no mistakes. You want to make sure that you're perfect. And he demands greatness out of you every time. You're not going to be a risk taker, if that's what you're asking me.
Okay. Now, listen. Now, the dictator has a national championship trophy, and I know the jury is wondering where I'm going with this. We'll tie it back in, as I always do. Now, he has the dictator.
Get to your point, counsel.
The national championship trophy. Now, here's the thing. Joe Flacco understands and is adored and played very well. You bring him back into this fold because I believe fear is a greater motivator than love. We don't not rob banks because we love the bank tellers. We don't rob banks because you can go to jail for 25 to life. Deshaun Watson has been given the keys to the city, but I believe that he needs some healthy dose of fear behind him. He needs to lock in. And the middle aspects of Deshaun Watson is where I think he's going wrong. He needs to have somebody behind him that A, he knows the fans love, B, knows can throw the football.
This is very interesting, counsel.
C, knows and understands that if he relinquishes that role, you might not get that back. So Deshaun Watson is not about making him feel comfortable. I want him motivated. I like motivated over comfort. I rest my case.
I actually agree. I think it's a great
Brilliant
point.
argument.
Because the bottom line, I'm not saying it's the case, I don't think it's the case, I hope it's not the case, if Deshaun Watson is not going to play as well because he's worried about the competition, then he was never going to be great anyway.
He's not made of the right
that's
material.
right.
You're right.
So if we're going to assume that he can handle that, which we have to because otherwise he can't be great, then yes, let him be pushed.
Bull, this goes back to something that we asked, I think the beginning of last year, I can't remember, about pressure. And we talked about how much pressure is Deshaun Watson under. And I think you said a lot. Everybody said it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And I sat in this chair and said, none. He's got no pressure whatsoever. You know what he has? He's got a $230 million guarantee. If he sucks, he's got a safety net. If he's replaced, he's got a safety net. I didn't like that. I think, to your point, I was always motivated by that as well. I was motivated more. I hate to fail. I hate to lose more than I love to win. Mm-hmm. And so what always motivated me in the dark hours, not in the games, but in the dark hours, when I was working by myself, was I was asking myself, what was the competition doing? Yeah. What are they doing right now to be better than me?
Coming to get your
and
spot.
that drove me. And you know what? Deshaun Watson is a motivated person. I don't want to make it. If you followed his career in college and you watched him closely, you know that he is a winner. Mm-hmm. He is motivated. He wants to be great. Sometimes, human nature, not a Deshaun Watson flaw, human nature. When we are crowned champion of the game, $230 million contract, we lose that motivation. We lose that spark. So I love your argument, counsel, that you want to use Joe Flacco as a fire starter.
Yeah.
I think I haven't heard anybody say that yet. He's also an insurance policy. Bring Joe back. And by the way, if it leads to a better Deshaun Watson and it costs you $6 million,
well worth it.
You're paying $6 million so you can monetize your $230 million investment.
And you know, if he get hurt again, coming
you got
off surgery,
someone there.
He can hit the track running.
We know we
That's
trust
right.
this guy. There's
Boom.
no concern.
But I love your logic.
Yeah.
I know
That
it
is
took
what
you
he
a while to get there, but
It always does.
By the way,
we gave you a little grace because it was interesting.
Little
in the
runway.
moment.
Steve, I just said by the way.
Why is that one of your catchphrases?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with getting rid of any crutch words. Like, there's a lot of people in media who say "like" all the time.
Right.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah.
I don't think I do that, but I say "by the way" a lot. To your point of what you said about motivating, it reminded me of a video I just saw of Larry Bird, because Larry Bird played 1 year after Magic retired, and Larry said that when Magic retired, he was not as motivated.
I remember hearing it.
Because his whole career, every
College
time
too.
he practiced, in college and the pros, he said, what's Magic doing now?
That's right.
What's Magic doing now? He said he would go look at those are the days where you get the paper and
look at the box score.
He'd go and look at the box score and see what Magic did.
Yeah.
And for his last, and then Magic retired, and he still was good his last year, but he was like, it's not the same.
And what's crazy to me, Bo, I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up, because you wouldn't think about that has any relevance in this conversation. However, when we speak to the greatest individual rivalries in sports history, obviously Ali Frazier comes to mind for me. I'm a big fight fan.
Yeah.
and their fights and their personal relationship was amazing. They came to grow to love one another, much like Larry and Magic have.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. We, as the fans, were the benefactor of Magic hating Larry and Larry hating Magic.
Right.
It created magic for us to watch for more than a decade between college and the NBA. And it wouldn't be like Flacco was his rival. He's not.
Right.
But it's interesting how just his presence, maybe he starts seeing Joe's in it every day at 8. I got to get here at 7:45.
Remember who Jackson told that to Tyrod Taylor, Baker and Tyrod Taylor?
Right,
Exactly right.
He said, now look, oh boy, it's one thing Hugh Jackson said that I thought
He's
it was
first in and
brilliant.
last out.
He said, I mean, you gonna let him beat you? And the quarterbacks are competitive. I imagine in my head Joe Flacco going up to Deshaun being like, hey, listen, man, I don't know if your arm better than mine. I'm 40. I'm about to get this Buckeye card. Matter of fact, I can make all the throws around here. Now, Tyvis, you in the case when you cool with Sherm, you cool with a lot of the DBs, right?
We are
Y'all seen that?
we are ex coworkers. That's all.
Whoa! What
Just-
happened?
We're just ex coworkers.
You guys get into a fight?
No, that's our title. We just
Well, you're friends.
If his wife and my wife weren't friends, I really wouldn't talk to the guy.
That's not
Oh,
true.
really? I don't think
That's
you
not
lied to us.
That's a lie, Ty. Stop
No,
it.
you're beautiful. You
I
text
hope
with him all the time.
Make sure. I hope you clip this and tag him. I would not talk to you if it wasn't for your lovely wife and my wife being friends.
Oh, you almost sold it. You almost
you're out
sold
of
it.
That was good.
Yeah.
Ty,
Well,
what do you
yesterday,
think?
with the same face, looking into the same camera, he said unequivocally, there are 0 players in the NFL using performance-enhancing drugs.
They're not using
By the way,
Just saying.
that was met with
They're
great
not. That's
right.
cynicism
But Tyvis, to your
and laughter.
I'm curious. As the one guy here who actually played in the NFL,
Yeah.
are you buying what G is selling? We're buying it, but we didn't play.
Yeah.
You did.
No, I think you did. Listen, the thing that I learned about the Cleveland Browns is that, and not just the Cleveland Browns, just all of football, the most successful teams always bring in competition. Competition breeds the best out of athletes. What motivated me the most as a player was when, in college, we had a freshman by the name of Eric Smith. He went to Glenville. Shout out to Glenville. Safety. Freshman came in.
I thought he was going to get your minutes,
Dude
too.
was
I remember
baller.
that. I remember that dude.
Dude was an absolute baller. And I was like, look at this freshman. It seemed like every time he got in there, we blow teams out. He get in the game. He get a pick or he get a fumble recovery or something. I'm like, so he kept me on my game. I'm like, well, let me step my game up.
So you knew his number.
Same situation with this. You know, with Deshaun Watson, first of all, I don't think Deshaun is already motivated by the fact that I listened to his podcast with Cam Newton, and he said, I hear all of it. So if that's the case, you know all the trash talking that's going on about your name and how people saying that they wasted money, blah, 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 blah. You want to come out there and you want to prove them wrong. So I don't think you need the motivation, but if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I think you're absolutely right. You can't just rest on the fact that he'll be back. Like if you go into this season thinking Deshaun Watson will be back, he'll be 100% back to the guy
injury
that
he's coming back for, there's no track record
Exactly.
with it.
So
there's no guarantee he's going to come back.
So you have
to
do what they call cover your assets, and you have to get a guy in there that you know can get things done. Now, what I think, and this could be totally wrong, and I mean no disrespect to Joe Flacco in any way when I say this. I think Joe Flacco is the perfect backup quarterback that he is in his career now. Why do I say that? Because as we pointed out over his historic run with the Cleveland Browns, that in the last, 3 seasons, he's always giving you moments where he's looked really great, but he's fallen off the cliff. Why do I think that it's hard for him to get maybe another starting quarterback job anywhere else? It's because I think other NFL teams see the same thing. He'll come in and he'll get you maybe 5 good games, but at some point it's going to take a dive. With that being said, if he comes back to Cleveland and he is the backup quarterback, I do believe that, I've said it a bunch of times, what you said, he can be a great teacher. Deshaun Watson has never had that big brother quarterback that's been a former MVP, that's not an MVP, Super Bowl
Even his rookie
champion.
season? Who was his backup?
I don't remember who.
No,
was there
I don't
when he
know.
came in.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
He
It's-
didn't have Matt Schaub wasn't there.
I don't think so, but he came in and played.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So the
A lot
best.
of times, a team, if they're definitive that this is their guy, they'll clear the deck.
Yeah,
Wasn't Brock Osweiler?
I don't remember.
The
now.
biggest
Maybe.
influential
You know what, you
person
might be
he
right.
had was Jacoby Brissett. That's probably the biggest big brother who's actually had a decent success that started.
you're right, yeah.
Is Jacoby Brissett.
Who's another good guy to have there.
Exactly. So I think that you benefit from that because Deshaun will look at him and say, this guy's been to the Super Bowl. He's won the Super Bowl MVP, and I want those things. And he came in last year and he did things that I quite frankly weren't great at. So I can learn from him in those things. I don't know how necessarily the offense is going to change with the new OC coming in, whoever that may be. But I do believe that there is something there. Also, Joe Flacco is perfect for a number 2 because he's done it in his career. It's been times where he's with Lamar. He groomed Lamar, and Lamar took off. He went to the Jets. He was there for a while, and then he groomed Zach Wilson. We need to talk about that. And then, even in Denver, when he was in Denver, he had the neck injury, and what's the quarterback? Drew Lock came in, and he would help Drew Lock. So he's been in situations where he's always helped a younger guy get ready.
Bull, did you get a sense from Joe, and did it even come up, about what his post-football life looks like? I think coaching is an option.
It's funny because I had
all of that.
One of the questions I wanted to ask him was, would you rather, when you're done, are you going to go down the coaching route or the media route? We had 30 minutes, and I just didn't get to everything.
And 30 minutes goes fast in an interview
it flew
like that.
by. So I didn't get to ask him that.
Brock Osweiler was the quarterback in Houston, by the way. And he
didn't have a lot of
Deshaun knew coming in, he had the keys.
Yeah.
And you said something during your answer a moment ago where you said players are okay with competition. They like it. It brings out the best in us, you said.
Yes.
And I happen to agree with that. But I will also say, and I remember, I think I didn't experience this in any other sport but wrestling, and it exists in track and field too, and swimming and things like that are measured definitively. A lot of this is just subjective. I look at my eyes and I think you're better. But when there's a watch or there's a head-to-head competition in wrestling, we had wrestle-offs every week, and I'll never forget it. As a freshman, I wanted to be varsity. I had a good junior high career, but they had some good high school wrestlers that were my weight class. The beauty of wrestling, which is why I always liked it,
you find out.
If you didn't put in the work, by minute 5, by the halfway through the third period, there were red lights flashing. Not done.
You got that instant data. The
knew.
data was right. Well,
and the beautiful thing about wrestle-offs
It does
was
happen in track, though, because I ran
in track. Too. In track, I always used to tell my son, the reason I love track so much, in track, the tape never lies. Meaning the tape measure and the stopwatch never lies. You always know where you stand and where you stand in reference to your competition. In wrestling, 2 guys will come to the middle of the mat, and they would wrestle a 3-minute period. Winner gets the varsity spot.
Did you get the varsity spot?
I did, but you know what? After week 1, wrestle off again. Now, there was a time when there were no wrestle-offs. If you were beating every guy in the weight class and you were beating them easily, then it wasn't an issue, particularly if you were winning your matches. But if you weren't winning your matches, the coach has an obligation to all other 12 starters. I've got to get the best wrestler at 98 pounds.
Yeah.
So we're going to have another wrestle-off. Now, what that did was it kept everybody else in that weight class motivated. Oh, Jay's in the weight room after practice? I guess I got to be in the weight room after practice. But to your point of athletes love competition, it makes us better. You said this earlier. It makes some cower.
Yep.
That's your answer.
That's it.
If they don't rise their game, like Baker rose his game when Hugh Jackson, probably the smartest thing he ever said as a head coach. Look at your brother. Jacoby's in here, or it was Tyrod. Yeah. Tyrod's in here before you and after you're gone. And so that it changed Baker's approach. He realized, I can't college this. I can't Oklahoma this. This is a new level. I'm getting paid. I think that we'll find out. This nonsense, and Jason is adamant about this.
Yeah.
And I love Jason and every one of his takes because he does come at things in a very cerebral way. But this particular take where, he can't come back. He can't come back. That could make for a volatile situation. Hell with that. These are gladiators. These are men. Bring me the best competition you have, and I will prevail.
I think Jason's point is that the other players would be picking sides.
Look, that could happen.
Yeah.
It could.
Right.
Jason
happen.
was saying that other guys would be looking at the coach saying, are we really going to play this charade?
I live that. That will happen.
It will happen, and that's human nature. But there's one thing that we haven't discussed in talking about Deshaun Watson's comeback, and it hit me yesterday, but I didn't want to take this tangent, but we can now because we're talking specifically about Deshaun. We talk about Nick Chubb as, we don't know what he's going to be when he comes back. coming back from a very difficult injury, an ACL. We don't know what he's going to be. We've got to restructure. We got to bring in competition. Why doesn't the same thing apply to Deshaun Watson, who I've continued to research, trying to find another case?
You know why? You know what the difference is?
There's no history of it.
The difference is he did it. He went 14 for 14 with the thing broken.
Maybe we don't know that because they didn't do an MRI after 7 passes.
I'm with Jay. I like the military, and I do something. This is my operation. This is Operation Stockpile. This is you need to cover the guys.
Can we call 2024 Operation Stockpile?
We could do
Let's
that.
do it.
Because you've been saying I need to overdo it everywhere.
You better. This is the first step.
And I loved your analogy yesterday. China's over here building a fleet of Navy vessels.
Hey, I just
we gotta go.
looked at the wide receiver shelf. It's pretty empty.
Yes.
We got to fill up that wide receiver shelf.
It's not
Not much on that shelf.
There's one guy in there that I'm going to bring back.